Am I the asshole for making my brother leave after he brought his kids to my child-free wedding? My wife and I got married days ago. We decided the wedding will be child-free. We thought this was the best option considering several factors from budget to keeping the order, etc. Everyone got an invitation, but my biggest concern was how my brother Ramsey, 36, was going to react. Ramsey married young and has 4 kids that he takes everywhere he and his wife goes. They're always there at every family event. The kids are grade A hyperactive to say the least. I gave Ramsey the invitation in person and he read it out loud in a sarcastic tone and then said, "Child free, huh?" I nodded and he got someone mad saying, "Are you serious?" But my children have never been excluded from any big or small event, let alone their own uncle's wedding. I said sorry, but it's already been decided and everyone had to follow the rules, not just him. He started off for a minute and then to my surprise he said, "I totally get it, man. No children means no children. No worries." I was glad he didn't start an argument over it and seemed to accept the rule. The day of the wedding came and Ramsey and his wife didn't show up until shortly before the ceremony began. My best man noticed that Ramsey had arrived and had all his kids with him. I was legit mad and I went to meet him at the entrance and saw he brought all his kids against me and my wife's wishes. I greeted the kids and asked my sister-in-law to take them back to the car. He loudly asked what the F was wrong with me. I asked why he brought his kids and who said it was okay. He said no one, but he was planning on bringing the kids all along and figured that by initially agreeing to my rule, then showing up with the kids anyway would get me to agree on letting them stay. I stated this was no event for kids for many reasons and that everyone respected the rule except him. He complained about me disrespecting him and his kids since, again, he never attends any event without them. In his words, "Wherever I go, my kids follow, period." I told him he needed to leave then. Not only did he call me a lunatic, but a terrible brother and terrible uncle. He also called me a simp for agreeing to his wife's stupid rule, saying that if it was him and his wife even hinted he couldn't have his family's kids at their wedding, he would have dropped her right there and then. It was humiliating and loud enough for the guests to notice. My in-laws did too. I told him to leave and that's when my mom and aunt tried to convince me to let it go and let them stay, but I refused and had him leave after a massive argument between us. To say that I felt absolutely shitty is an understatement. Everyone gave me grief ever since that incident and are siding with Ramsey, saying I wronged him and acted cold towards him and his kids when they showed up to celebrate me and my wife. My dad is especially pissed at me for potentially permanently effing up my relationship with Ramsey, his wife and kids by kicking them out of my wedding. He quoted Ramsey won't ever forget this day. So, am I the asshole?
Storytime. So there was this one girl in 7th grade, let's call her Lexi. Lexi was a pick-me girl. She was always like, boys are less drama, you know? And Lexi used to sit next to me in class. And I was throwing a Halloween party later this week. I decided to write a list of what we're going to be doing at the party in class while Lexi's sitting next to me. She looks over at my notebook and sees it. And she was like, "I'm invited, right?" I looked at her and I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to tell her she's not. She got really excited and was like, "I'm gonna be wearing a devil costume. Actually, no, I want to be the angel." And at the end of class, she told me to send her the location and information on her Instagram. And I remembered that Lexi had a lot of spam accounts and accounts she doesn't use. So I decided to send her the information on one of the accounts she doesn't use. 2 days later, I get a message from Lexi. She sent me a message from one of her real accounts. Then she told me that I forgot to send her the information for the party. I told her that I did send the location, but on her other account, and that I didn't know she stopped using it. Lexi didn't believe me, so I sent her a screenshot. Then I told her that since she didn't confirm, she can't come to the party because I had a limit of 20 people. Lexi got really mad and started calling me mean stuff, that I'm rude and forgetful. And then Lexi blocked me not just on Instagram, but on Snapchat and TikTok. Of course I didn't care and just went on with my day. Fast forward to the next day, which was the day of my party. Things were going great. Me and my friends had an amazing time. But after an hour, I get a phone call from a random number. I didn't answer, number one, because the music was too loud and I was too busy with my friends. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes pass, and that number calls me again. I handed my phone to my friend and let her. Here's part 3, sorry it took too long. So I handed my phone to my friend and let her answer the phone. She told me that there was a person waiting for me in front of the house. I, of course, didn't want to go outside alone, so I let my friend Jason come out with me. As soon as we arrived to the front of the house, we see Lexi and her mother sitting next to her in her car. I just stood there in disbelief, not knowing what to do. Lexi got out of the car, looked at me and rolled her eyes, then looked at Jason and started talking to him. She was like, "Hey Jason, do you miss me? Jason, can I come in?" And Jason didn't know what to say, but he said yes. And Lexi had the audacity to show up to my party after she blocked me on all of my social media. Lexi stayed with Jason and Jason's friend. I couldn't enjoy my night anymore after that. The next day in school, I told my teacher the story and she moved my place. Story time about this girl who faked being Latina. So there was this girl who went to my school. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is the queen of lies. In every subject we talk about, Sarah always, and I mean always, comes up with a lie that has to do with her life. Here's an example. What if we're talking about Tom Holland? She'd just come in and say, oh yeah, Tom Holland is my dad's friend. I met him once. You know, these types of lies. Another one is when she told everyone she's Latina. It was lunchtime in school, and we were talking about where we went for the summer. Sarah tells us that she went to Spain, and she started telling us on what she did there, and says that she's 50% Latina. She also said that she lived in Spain for 6 years, and if there is any person who lived in Spain for 6 years, they must know how to speak Spanish. And then my friend Kayla asked her, what does good morning mean in Spanish? We all know it's buenos dias. And my friend Kayla asked Sarah, what does good morning mean in Spanish? And then Sarah looks at us, looks back at her food, and said, I don't know, I'm still taking Spanish lessons. And we just look at her, that she doesn't even know what good morning means in Spanish. If she had lived in Spain for 6 years, she would have known what it meant. I don't know how, but that incident has spread around the entire school. Every person that walks past Sarah just says, buenos dias, basically teasing her about not knowing what good morning means in Spanish. And then Sarah didn't show up to school for 3 days after that. And oh boy, we haven't even gotten to the crazy part. The 3 days pass, and Sarah comes back to school. As soon as she walks into the class, everyone's eyes was on her. She came up, sat in her seat, and this lady showed up to... So after 3 days of Sarah not coming to school, she showed up in a crop top, skinny jeans, fake nails, and fake lashes. And her hair was in a bun with edges. Yes, you heard me, edges. This lady is white. And in lunchtime, she took out a bag of hot Cheetos and some dipping sauce. I don't know if this was supposed to make us think she's Latina, but trust me, it didn't work. All of the freshmen and sophomores took out their phone and started filming her. This is where I kind of felt bad, but she ran to the bathroom crying, and she just stayed there and didn't show up to any classes for the rest of the day. Story time. So me and this girl Jessica had a lot of beef together. She would always spread rumors about how I am adopted because I don't look like the rest of my family. And that was not true. But one day, I showed up to school and everyone was just staring at me in a really mean way. It's like I murdered someone. I quickly run to my best friend and ask her what's going on. She then told me that I told Jessica that she was a spoiled brat and that I beat her behind the school. And it turns out that Jessica told the whole grade. Everyone was against me. My first 2 classes passed and it felt like I've been there for a year. Everyone was still staring at me and I just couldn't get anyone to believe me. But I had enough of Jessica. During lunchtime, I went up behind her and pulled her hair as hard as I could. And it turned out Jessica had fake hair. She was using a wig. So I was so fed up with Jessica's actions that I decided to pull her hair. Best decision I have ever done. Because it turns out her hair was a wig. Yes, her hair was fake, just like her personality. Jessica turned around and looked me in the eye and said, "You're gonna pay for this." And she stormed out of the cafeteria. The next day, she shows up to school and everyone was staring at her. The reason for that is that she showed up in a bun and with a hydro flask, shell necklaces, friendship bracelets, and you name it, all of the Visco Girls stuff. Her friends told the whole school about the incident, so you better get rid of those friendship bracelets, Jessica. But since the whole school knew, one of those really hot football players came up to Jessica and told her, "You know you're not Charlie D'Amelio." So one of those really hot football players came up to Jessica and told her, "Jessica, you know you're not Charlie D'Amelio, right? So drop the act." Y'all should have seen Jessica's face. She got up and ran to the principal's office and told her everything that just happened. And since the principal was a little bit strict, she gathered all of the grade and was confronting us and asking us who was bullying Jessica. Me and other boys and girls stood up without hesitation and told the principal it was us. Then the principal gave all of us 1 month of detention. I actually didn't care, even though I think that she was the one who should have gotten detention, but I don't even like the girl. Also, thank you guys for 60k and all of the love and support on my other videos. My DMs are open if you want to submit your story. Thank you guys.
Story time. One day I was walking home from school. I had to stay after school a little longer because I had to do some extra work. So the crossing guards weren't there and everyone had left. I was the only person around. I was walking where my mom normally picks me up, and I noticed a random car had been following me. I didn't really think anything of it because I thought it was just a car going my same direction, until it started going faster when I was going faster and slowed down when I slowed down. Then I started to get pretty freaked out. So I texted my mom and she wasn't replying. Then about 10 minutes later, she texted me, "I've been looking for you for about 20 minutes. I called her and told her that I had to stay after school. And I also told her that I was pretty sure someone was following me. I heard her gasp. Then she said, "Where are you? I'm coming to get you right now." I was confused. She seemed really scared. I told her what street I was on, and about 5 minutes later, I saw her. Mind you, the car was parked now next to me. I was trying to walk away from it and kept inching away. Once I saw my mom's car, I quickly climbed inside. Then I asked her why she was so worried. She showed me the news on her phone, and it said that there's been someone out kidnapping people in my neighborhood. I was really scared, and we started to head home when the guy got out of his car with a gun and started banging on our window. I was so scared. The guy came out of his car with a gun. I started freaking out. He was banging on the window. I reached my phone to call the police, and he pointed the gun right at me. My mom got in front of the window where he was aiming the gun to protect me and told me to call the police. So I called them and told them what was happening. They had a guy already patrolling that street, so we got there in a few seconds. A bunch more police came. One came to our car and got us out of there, and the others took care of the kidnapper. I'm not sure what happened to the kidnapper after that, but I'm pretty sure he went to jail. Thanks for listening.
Storytime about how everyone thought I was a psychopath in school. So once I was friends with this girl named Nola. When I first joined high school, Nola was my only friend. She showed me around school and even helped me with homework. But considering how nice Nola was, she didn't have any friends except me. Nola was one of the nicest people I've ever met, so it was weird for her not to have any other friends. But I just brushed it off and didn't think about it. A month passes of me being friends with Nola, and one day in class, a girl comes up to me and asks me why I'm friends with the weird kid. I started defending Nola, and then the girl went back to her seat and started whispering to her friend. I got suspicious of why they asked me that, so I went and asked Nola. Nola, why did that girl just ask me why I'm friends with you? Do both of you have beef or something? Then Nola looks at me in the weirdest way and says no. I just said okay and went on with my day, but I was still really suspicious. Weeks pass by and Nola tells me that she wants to hang out, so I invite her over at my house. So she came and we started playing around, and she decided to go into my brother's room, and all I hear her say is, "Ew!" I follow her upstairs and just see her staring down the window. She was looking at a dead baby pigeon, and since a lot of birds do nests there, it was normal for a baby. This is why no one's friends with her. And sees a dead baby pigeon. And since a lot of birds do their nests here, it was normal for a baby pigeon to fall off and die. So I explained to Nola the situation and how the baby just fell, and she just said okay. When I show up the next day at school, everyone was giving me deathly stares. So I go up to a girl and ask her what happened, and she responded with, "How dare you kill a baby pigeon, you monster!" I looked at her in the most frustrated way, knowing that everyone thinks I'm a psychopath now, and it's all because of Nola. This is why no one's friends with her.